A lot of our youth groups do outreach events, which are great, but sometimes there's things happening behind the scenes that we overlook or don't even realize are happening in the first place. We're going to look at 3 of those things here today. Hey guys, my name is Tim Schmoyer and welcome to the Dare to Share video blog. I've been doing youth ministry and youth group stuff for about 14 years now, and outreach events is just a key part of just something that we always did, something that you're always supposed to do, right? Evangelism, reach out to kids and people in the community. But the more I did them, the more I realized some of this stuff just isn't quite right, and I started realizing things about them that I'm glad I realize now and that I try to avoid when I do outreach events. So I'd like to share 3 of those things with you here today. The first thing is that I really started to feel like the more I did outreach events and the more I was pushing kids to invite their unsafe friends to come to these events, I just felt like I was unintentionally teaching my kids that evangelism is something that your youth pastor does. It's something that the church does for you. It's your job to get them to the church, and then once they're here, we take over, and we will be the ones to share Christ with them. The person on stage, that's their job. And no, none of us would actually just come right out and say it like that, but sometimes that's what our actions teach our kids, that, hey, I'll do it for you. What if instead we did an outreach event where instead of having someone on a stage tell all the unsafe people there about Christ, what if we somehow set it up so that it was the kids' responsibility during that event to share Christ with their friends, or we gave our students an opportunity to share Christ with their friends, either on a stage or just one-to-one or something like that. To be honest with you, I've never done an outreach event like that, but I do think it's important that we're intentional about teaching our kids that this is your God-given responsibility. It's not mine to do it for you. I want to help you. I want to partner with you. I'm even happy to share Christ with your friends, but let's do it together. Let's link arms and do this somehow, that it's not just me doing all the talking, but that you have to step out and talk with your friends about their faith as well. A second thing I realized that was a part of a lot of our outreach events is that there's a lot of Christian world stuff that just happens naturally in the church, not because we're trying to be weird, but just because that's all we know and it just comes naturally to us. Things like raising your hands when you worship and sing, you know, or like everyone's fold your hands, close your eyes, you know. None of that stuff is bad or wrong, of course, but for an outsider who's just like their first experience with like religious Christian people in one of their environments, you can see how that could feel pretty intimidating and pretty uncomfortable. I'm not saying we should stop doing any of those things, but I do think we should at least be sensitive to people who are coming in from the outside who aren't familiar with all the Christian stuff that we do, and maybe it's making them feel very uncomfortable. One of the things that's really been helpful for me is bringing in like a secret shopper, someone who doesn't know anyone in our church, in our community, they don't know them either. I'd love it if that could just be some random non-Christian kid that I meet at the mall or at a fast food restaurant somewhere, say, hey, give you $20 if you can come hang out and just give me some information and feedback about what you experience and what you see there. And number 3, I know a lot of us do follow-up. We all realize that that's a really important part of an outreach event, but often we just tend to follow up with the kids who indicated they made decisions for Christ. What about the kids who are kind of borderline, kind of on the fence, or didn't make a decision for Christ at one of our events? What about them? Do they need to be followed up with as well? I think so. Sometimes at outreach events, we could have hundreds and hundreds of kids who have not yet put their faith and their trust in Christ, but I still think it's very important that we figure out a way, some sort of system to follow up with each and every single one of those kids. It might be that they have things they want to talk about, or there's questions, or maybe just to follow up with a one-on-one personal contact will be enough to say, hey, yeah, this is something I really want to learn more about, and they won't take the initiative to do that on their own, but if someone reaches out to them, you know, that could be a very powerful thing. What other things do you guys see that we're often missing, maybe overlooking, or not really thinking about enough as far as how we do outreach events, what we communicate about them, and the effects that they have on our ministry? Comment below and let us know. I'd love to hear from you guys, and thanks for hanging out with us again for another Dare to Share video blog post. I'll see you guys later. Bye.